as you know, I'm trying to cover the slides approximately in 40-45 minutes. Then I'm giving the microphone to all attendances here, all students and guests, to share their ideas, to make their mind or make a brainstorming session like last 10-15 minutes, and to ask your all question in this style. So what's going to happening in the world on these days? As you know, we have a really big problem. Even we can't see these type of days in S&P or in even currencies like the Euro USD or Australian dollar USD parity, because in global financial crisis in 2008, we see lots of crashing days, but on these days we are just going down and crashing. But here we have huge volatility. What we mean by volatility? Even we can't see this volatility on COVID-19 crisis, global financial crisis, even on the Black Monday 1987. We can only compare these days like the Great Depression times, approximately 100 years ago, because S&P going down 4%, and just in 30 minutes, it is going up to 6%, meaning approximately you need $9 trillion to make these type of movements. It is huge money. So what's going to happening in the world? What is the problem here? What we can see, and what type of problem we can face on this type of situation? I will share my ideas. Then I will try to explain what can be happen in the next couple of days or months, or where we can stop in this type of situation. You will see, and you will try to understand what's happening in details. This is the first slide that I want to show you. These are the US tariff. This is the highest in a century. Please take a look at here. We are here. Actually, we were here in the Great Depression times, and as you see, we only see in 19th century these type of days. And here, even as I said, Black Monday, even as I said, the great global financial crisis or COVID-19 crisis, normally we suppose that before the Trump coming to power, we will be around here. Okay, you will see those slides as well. What's the market expected according to Trump administration and their declaration to the market situation, where we can happen and what type of tariff can be implemented. But right now we are trying approximately here, and this type of situation is just the weighted average. If you see the next slides, you will see which countries are negatively differentiated and which countries are positively differentiated from this situation. But you should understand what's happening here right now. As you see here, we have a huge tariff here and here. Then until the Great Depression times, as it was here, we couldn't see before the Second World War this type of situation. Why? Because we have a globalization period. What we mean by globalization? The integration of the world economies and the countries, and decreasing those type of any borders and boundaries between the countries, like the custom union in the European countries. There is approximately less than 1% between the European and other countries, and in the European Union region, there is no tariffs, or there is no any type of quotas or trade restriction. But right now, we are trying to examine some different situation. Even we couldn't see, as I said, during 100 years. As you see here, we make a pause, 90-day pause, except the China for the rest of the world. And what the Trump is trying to do, first of all, we should understand what is the problem behind it. Normally, as you know, tariffs are a really big problem. Let me share another screen. Give me 1 second, please. Give me 1 second, and I will share that situation as well. And you will see exactly what is the problem and what we mean by
So we can see so far that high tariffs can lead to instability, political instability in the world, and even economic
exactly.
instability.
Exactly. Let me share the screen. Everybody can see this right now, right? Perfect.
Yes.
Please just focus on the right hand side here. Okay. If the gas take the
Abdulkadir, can you
basic,
make that larger? It's a little hard to see.
sure. Let me increase the,
There you go. Oh, that's much better.
and I think I can increase more. Okay. Here we are. Please focus on this chart. Okay. This chart. Normally, if there is no problem in the world, by the way, this is approximately a graph that we used in macroeconomics course, not in macroeconomics, but microeconomics courses. You know, we have the perfect competition market. What we mean by perfect competition? Perfect competition saying that there is no price negotiation. There is no price that can be determined by countries or any type of firms. The price is determined by the market power. And this is perfect competition. So the entrance to market or exit from the market is free. There is no market power who can directly determine or affect the price in the market. And this is the perfect competition. As you see here, this is the P world, price of the world. Okay. This is the price of the world in perfect competition. But sometimes governments and countries can intervene the market condition. In four style, they have 4 type of tools to intervene to affect the market prices. First, tariffs. Second, quotas. Third, price ceiling. And the fourth, price flooring. What we mean by price ceiling and flooring? Let's say you have lots of producer or consumer in a country, and let's say you are one of the biggest producer in the world of the cotton, let's say soybean or cotton, and you don't want to drop the market prices of the cotton in your country at, let's say, X level. So you are saying this X level is your market ceiling prices, or let's say if you don't want to above market flooring line. Any government can determine a price like market ceiling prices or flooring prices. This is a government intervention to market price mechanism. And these two are just the fixed prices. But other two is about the trade, the quota and the tariffs. Please just focus on these P world prices in the perfect competition. If a government put a tariff on that prices, first effect is price is increasing. You should keep in mind. If there's an additional tariff on the free trade condition, then the price is increasing. So the first effect is inflationary, ladies and gentlemen. If there's a tariff on the prices, the first effect is inflationary. But other effects are this. Please just think we are in the P world price condition. In the microeconomic course, I tell all the guests here, all the students here, that we have consumer surplus and producer surplus. What we mean by consumer surplus? Consumer surplus is the area above the price and below the highest price, meaning this triangle. Please look at this triangle. Could you follow my moving on the screen? Biggest triangle. Then,
yes, we can see your arrow moving that big triangle.
Exactly, perfect. So in the beginning condition, in the first condition, I have a consumer surplus like this area. But when I come to the price of tariff, now the consumer surplus is just this green area. So at this much of amount from consumer surplus is gone. To where? Because I have a consumer surplus. This consumer surplus is this, your wealth, your well-being as a consumer. Okay. This amount is decreasing at this much when there is a price increase with tariff. Okay. You lost this much. This amount to go where? First producer. Why? If you don't import those type of products from the rest of the world, where you can buy? Only from the domestic producer, right? Then their producer surplus initially here, normally this small triangle, but now their producer surplus is here. They gain this much from you, from the consumer. And where are the other things? This tax revenue, because of the tariffs, this is go to the government budget as a tax revenue. Why Trump saying I will increase the tariff? Because I need this tax revenue for the government budget because we have a public deficit problem, right? Huge deficit of the United States. So to finance those deficits, I need some tax revenue from the tariff. Approximately in each month, $26 billion go into United States federal budget because of the tariff increase. Yes, one benefit from the government side, second benefit from the producer surpluses. But what are these two small triangles as society laws? What are these? Ladies and gentlemen, please look at these P-world prices. Okay, P-world prices. When the price is at this level, your supply is here, but you are demanding at this much. If you demand this much, but if you produce only this much, this amount will be imported. Okay, because you need at this much, but you are only producing here. So you need this gap to import from the rest of the world, right? Yes. But if we are in tariff situation, now your supply is here and demand is here. Now you are importing at this much. Initial import is here and next import is here. So you are losing at this much as a society loss, that weight loss, because you are importing less from the rest of the world and you are consuming with higher prices, with tariff prices at this much. And you are losing as a consumer for this situation.
Abdulkadir, are you actually consuming less at that higher tariff price?
Exactly.
But you're producing more.
You are producing more because you are why, Dr. Lambert? What is the Trump problem? We should ask this question. Everybody else in the world know that Trump saying that I want to make America great again and I want to make America the production center. Is this right? Yes. They are saying that NVIDIA comes here, Nike comes here, Adidas comes here, Intel comes here, and they will produce all the products in the America, right? Yes. So with this tariff rate that the China, that the Canada, European Union make on the United States export, if you produce everything in the United States, to whom you can sell these products? To whom with this tariff, right? Nobody will buy this. Nobody. And at the end, each side, exporter and the importer will lose. So why Trump doing this? If he knows, at the end, each side will lose. Because Trump is a populist. Trump come to the power with the support of the American agriculture or American small business side. So he needs to give something to those people. And if you import at this amount, you don't need to produce too much because you are importing lots of product with smaller prices from the rest of the world. Because you cannot compete with China or European Union by producing this. United States production is higher and expensive, so to import is better for the society. But now, if you put tariff and you cannot import, you only import this amount, then you should produce more. American agriculture benefit from this situation, right? You will produce more to how can I say, to maintain the necessary effect of the consumption in the country. So producer get
Abdulkadir,
this.
you're looking at it from the perspective of producers in the United States and consumers in the United States, correct?
Exactly, exactly. Now, in the initial situation, the consumer wallet at this much, and we are taking this amount of money from the consumer, and we are distributing this money to whom? First, from consumer wallet to producer side at this much, to the government as a tax revenue, and this amount of money go to the air because of your sucking policy. Okay. This amount is going because of your sucking policy in the United States. This is your societal law. Because you are not importing, because your governor put huge amount of tariff, and it is so expensive. Normally, to import is cheaper, and make the competitive products with the United States, comparably, China or Malaysia products is cheaper, even with world prices, even you bring those to the United States. But if you put this amount of tariff, now those products are really expensive. What should you do? You should produce those products in the United States, and your producer benefit from which wallet? From your consumer, from your wallet. And 1/3 of the money goes to the producer, 1/3 of money go to the Trump's wallet, Trump's budget, and the 1/3 is going to the air because of those sucking policy. Okay, you should understand this condition. But by the way, what we said initially, we said that the government can intervene to the market from 4 channels, right? Price ceiling, price flooring, quota, and tariffs. And what is the problem? Yes, we explained the tariff, we explained the price ceiling and price flooring. What about the tariff? We explained here. What about the quota? The quota is exactly the same effect with this. But what is the difference between tariff and quota? In the tariff, the money goes to the government as tax revenue. But in quota situation, you are giving the quota license to some companies who can import, or you can distribute those products in the United States, and those money, which is going to the tax revenue to the budget, now goes to the quota license holder budget. Okay. The effect is almost same, but the difference is money is not going to the tax revenue or the budget revenue, but now the money is going to the quota holders budget. Now, let me continue my screen from the initial side. I think you understand now. Even the Trumps know that at the end of this trade war, China, United States, Canada, European Union, all countries will lose. But why the Trump is doing such a sucking and fucking things? Because he needs the support from his followers, because he gives lots of promise before the voting, right? Before the election, you give lots of promises to your supporters, and you should satisfy them right now. Okay? Even you know at the end you will lose the ball. Even you know. Let me share my screen again. Sorry. As you see, we are here. And except China, they delay 90 days for the rest of the world to implementation those effective tariffs. So what is the problem? Please focus on this. As you see, from the Great Depression times, we have huge tariffs in the world. And then we start a globalization. Then just here, because of the petroleum crisis, because of any type of politician, how can I say this? Maybe you can think these types like the problem between the United States and the Russia, the problem between the United States and the Iran. And then after the millennium, we almost have only 2% of tariff in the world. Too low, meaning bringing those products from the rest of the world is just around 2% tariff. And before the election, we suppose that when the Trump come to the power, we will be around here. Now we are around here, unfortunately. Initial market expectation that at the end of the March, we should be around here. But right now, Trump saying we will be around here for the rest of the world. You should understand this situation like this. And what is the problem? Give me 1 second, please. Alo. Tamam, geliyorum. Teşekkür ederim. Tamam. Sorry for the interruption. It is an urgent call. So please take a look at the left-hand screen and try to understand why Trump fighting with the rest of the world, then why he made a 90-day pause and to postpone for the rest of the world except China. Why he just focusing on China and fighting with them? Please look at this line, ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side. These are tariffs imposed by the United States, and these are tariffs imposed on the United States export for other countries. Okay? And please just, for instance, take a look at the Canada. Canada is putting zero tariff on the United States, and the United States also putting zero tariff to Canada. Nothing between them because of the NAFTA, right? Or Mexico, almost here, zero, nothing. For instance, for the India, as you see, United States putting around 2% tariff on India, but India putting approximately 12% of tariff on the United States. Trump saying that you are thieving us. You are thieving and taking our money. You are a thief. On the screen, he said this. China and India are taking our money. Thieving, he said. They are thieves. And what is the problem? The problem is China, ladies and gentlemen. China, the United States only put around 11% on the Chinese product import, but China putting approximately 18%. Do you understand why this reciprocal line and outlier is only China? And on last days, Trump only fighting with China because of this. China, the United States only put around 10%, but China putting approximately 18% on the United States products. And Trump is saying that this is not a fair game. This is not a fair trade. I will fight you. And the most important reason, rather than this trade, China is not like the China that is 20 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. If we see on the product that made in China 20 years ago, we just skip it out and get out of it from the window, right? Because it is made in China 20 years ago. But right now, it is not. China is approximately $20 trillion economy. They are not focusing on any war in the world like Afghanistan, like Iran, like Iraq. They are not losing power and focusing on those type of things. And they are using their soft power, gaining connect with the rest of the world, especially in Middle East and Africa. They have a hegemonia like the United States, and they are trying to replacing the power of the United States in the world. And Trump on the screen and the TV directly say this sentence. We will request our trade partners that make a choice between us and China. Do you understand the reality? Because United States recognize that they cannot stop China, but just focusing on producing good warships or producing technological products. Because China is a giant, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. I mean, as a Turkish citizen, even we see lots of production from the China. And With those low cost of production, you cannot compete with China. They have approximately 1.5 billion economy. Minimum wage is less than 1/5 of the United States, and they are producing everything, even 1 second. So China is not like a China like 20 years ago. For that reason, United States is trying to say to the rest of the world that please make a choice between the United States and China and make your trade connection according to the situation. And what is happening on the right-hand side of the graph? What is the problem? For instance, when the Trump declared some tariffs, some new trade barriers between the United States and the rest of the world, why China don't say anything, but why the European Union and Mexico say lots of things? Why they are in alert and panic? Because, please look at this, export as a percentage of your nominal GDP. Export is nothing for the United States. It is just 11%. Okay? Or China, it is just 14%. But export is everything for the European Union. It is approximately 40%, ladies and gentlemen. Or export is 30% of the Mexican economy. If you cannot sell the Mexican products to the United States, your economy will crash. Or for the Canada, if you cannot sell the Canadian products to the United States, 1/3 of your products will go down to the sea. Do you understand now why China does not react like the Canada and Mexico for the Trump tariff? Because for the Canada, Mexico, and European Union, production and export is everything for their economy. But for China, it is just 15%. Do you understand now why these type of tariffs and trade barriers have huge effect on Canadian or Mexican economy rather than the Chinese economy? And China presidency, or let's say Minister of Finance or Minister of Trade, doesn't say anything, but the EU and Mexico or Canada trying to find a logical solution and negotiation with Trump, because, as I said, export is everything for Canada, Mexico, and European Union. Their countries is dependent to do the export. Export is everything for them. But for China, it is nothing. 15%. Okay. They can even skip it out for the United States. Now, let's go down. And what is happening here? This is the initial level, the black red, and the light color are additional up to the April, additional after the April 2. And we are now on the imports to the United States. We are here, as you see, 25%. Normally, we were just 2%, ladies and gentlemen, and 2% is nothing, but 25% is a really, really dramatic level for the world trade mechanism. 25% is a huge level, huge trade barrier for the rest of the world. And as you see, for the United States exports, we are around 15%, and the world average is just this. So if we exclude the United States from the trade to the rest of the world, normally world level is around just 2-3%. But the problem is coming from the United States side. And as I explained here, the problem is not just trade, but the problem is even unstoppable gaining power of the China on the trade, on the growth, on the military balance of the world. And United States trying to slowing down the China effect on the world. This is the reality of the story. It is not about the trade. It is about the hegemony of the United States. If China replaced the hegemony of the United States, I mean, if there's a problem in the East Asia, nobody will ask the United States idea or opinion. They will ask the idea of China, how the China will react. So the United States trying to stop the China on the trade, on the military or the hegemony of the world. And now let's focus on the global growth forecast. In which scenario we can go down, we can go up, and what can be happen initially. Please just look at this drawing line. At the beginning of the 2025, for the real GDP growth of the world economies, we suppose around 2.3%. 2.3% of the world economic growth. Normally, we supposing that before the 2nd April, even we can achieve around 3.1% or 3.2% world GDP growth. But now, after the 2nd of April, when the Trump declared to the rest of the world that they will impose huge tariff, even to China, even to Malaysia, even to, how can I say, European Union, Canada, Mexico, because they have a list. Trump goes to the television on the screen, and they have a huge list to impose the taxes of the rest of the world. And because of those taxes, the real GDP growth from 3.3%, now it is decreasing approximately 2.8%, meaning that 0.5% crashing for the real GDP growth of the world because of the Trump tariff policy. 0.5% for the world economies is huge. This is not just one country, ladies and gentlemen. We are speaking about approximately $150 trillion for the real GDP of the world. And 1% is $15 trillion, and 0.5% means $7.5 trillion decrease in the world economy because of this trade policy, Trump trade policy. Approximately $7 trillion will go down in the world economies. And the only effect is not coming from the just the growth side, but as I explained in the first graph that I trying to show you, what is the beginning effect of the Trump trade and tariff policy is the increase in the price level, the inflation, right? If I put a tariff on your trade, I will increase the prices. Even my domestic consumer will affect from this condition. So the initial effect, as you see, global growth going down and inflation going up. Normally, if you are taking an economy course, if inflation going up, growth also going up in normal condition. Okay, in normal condition, inflation and the GDP growth is a cyclical dynamics. They have cyclical. They are not counter-cyclical. One, I mean, they have a positive correlation. If inflation going up, growth also going up. But with the tariff, what we have, growth going down and inflation going up. What can be called this situation? Stagflation. This is a stagflation situation, meaning that inflation is going up and there is a stagnation in the growth, right? Growth is crashing, but prices is not going down. For instance, in COVID-19 crisis, economy is going down, right? In COVID-19, but prices also going down in the COVID-19 crisis because they are cyclical. But in stagflation situation, we have inflation going up, but growth is going down. And we have two scenarios, as you see. GDP growth going down approximately 0.5%, as I explained here. Please look at here. GDP is around 3.3%, but now it is 2.8%. We are crashing 0.5% for the world GDP as this much. And this amount, the red amount, is because of the China, because of huge tariff. This amount is because of the United States. And this amount for the advanced economies and euro areas. And this yellow amount is for the rest of the world, emerging market and developing economies for the rest of the world. As you asked in the initial condition, what I say to you, if the world economy, all economies, United States, United States is here, Euro area is here, China is here, rest of the world is here. All economies crashing. Why Trump implement such a fucking policy, right? Why? If all economies, for instance, if United States will be here, let's say United States benefit from this positively, but the rest of the world negatively, we can find a logical reason saying that because Trump saying that United States growth will be increased, they are putting tariff. But with the tariff, nobody benefit from. Everybody will lose. Why they are doing this? Because, as I say, if you are a populist governor, you need to distribute white rose to your supporters because you give lots of promise before the election to those producers. With this tariff policy, the only focus is this. Trump is trying to produce and keep the right of the United States agriculture and production sector. Even they know that at the end of this trade war, they will lose. Okay. And for the 2026, we have another crashing in the world GDP, but not at this much. This is shocking effect, minus 0.5. But here we have almost half of it, but even we are still crashing. So tariff effect will not just keep their maintenance during 2025. They will also affect world trade policy and GDP growth even the next year. And for the inflation, China will benefit from the inflation effect. As you see, China will be minus because of this tariff policy, because they have deflation. But the United States inflation will go up. Other countries' inflation will go up because of this tariff policy for this year and for next year. As you see,
Abdulkadir,
yes,
who produced these forecasts?
IMF.
IMF, okay.
Exactly. IMF expectation. All this graph is IMF expectation for any type of trade tariff policy on GDP growth and inflation. And China benefits from inflation. But just look at the Trump economy, United States. Their economy going down and their inflation going up. So why are you doing this such a weird things, right? Inflation during last 5 years, Federal Reserve trying to go down the inflation, right? And right now with tariff policy, you will bring an exogenous shock to inflation. And inflation is going up and the economy is going down. Even China at least benefit from the inflation side because their inflation will be minus because of this policy. But they are just skipping this any negative or positive effect, and they are trying to get connection with European Union, Canada, and Mexico. As you see, 10 days ago, China Minister of Finance and Minister of Trade declared that if we don't import approximately 50 million barrel oil products from the United States, we replaced it from the Canada and Mexico. As I said, their economy will not go down like the United States, or their inflation will not go up like the United States. United States will lose in two types, in both sides, even from the growth, even from the inflation. But they need to keep their promise for their supporters before the election. Otherwise, even Trump knows that at the end of this war, American economy will also lose. There will be no gainer from this war. Okay? There will be no gainer from this trade war. And inflation in the next year, United States inflation will go a little bit up, but not like the 2025. And the China inflation will go down, not comparable with 2025. Which countries' inflation will go up too much? Other emerging market and developing economies. Okay? And right now, the tariff, the United States and the China again on the screen. And we have tariffs and fiscal revenues, any type of effect on the budget revenues, any type of effect on the government revenues as well. Please look at this one. Supply side shocks. I am on the left-hand side. Okay. supply side shock of the tariffing country, right? Because United States putting tariff. I think there's a question from John Akpeji. Yes, microphone at your hand, John. If we unmute John.
John, are you able to unmute your microphone? Do you see that little button on the screen to unmute your microphone? Not responding. Go, please continue with the presentation.
John, let's do this. After approximately 5 minutes, I will give to the microphone to all guests here. And at that session, for 10 minutes, you can ask all your questions in the brainstorming session. Okay, no worry about it.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
Okay.
Just when it's question time, I'll ask the question.
Okay, I will give the microphone. Just let me finish these slides and you will have a right to ask your question. Supply side shock for tariffing country because United States put the tariff. As you see, core inflation going up for the United States and growth is going down for the United States because of the tariffs, right? And because of the other shocks and uncertainty in the market. And effect for the tariffed country, which is China, and they are demanding the some products from the United States. And as you see, the tariff effect for the growth at this much, and the fiscal effect at this much, right? Because they will not pay this type of money. This money will go to the Chinese government budget. They will not pay this money to the United States. But growth will go down, even for China. But inflation will not go at this much for the China. Even they will benefit from the fiscal side of the inflation at this trade war. And the domestic imbalances can help improve the external balances. Why? Please look at this one. What is the initial problem? Please look at the screen. This is current account balance. Who is giving current account deficit? United States, approximately 4%. Ladies and gentlemen, 4% for the United States, America, is approximately $1 trillion. Okay, $1 trillion loss for the United States, meaning that they are importing higher than they export to the rest of the world. And they are losing $1 trillion because of the current account, because of the trade balance. And this 4% will gradually improve and will be less than 2% for the United States, meaning that they will save approximately $500 billion because of this tariff. And for the China, they are giving trade surplus by making any type of trade negotiation with the rest of the world. Their trade surplus will be around, again, 2%. Okay, will be around 2%. So if China loses the trade partner of the United States, they will not lose huge amount because of from their surplus. But if United States put tariff on their trade deficit, they will gain approximately 500 billion. They will save, but they will lose their growth. Why? As I say, the economy coming from consumption, investment, government expenditure, export minus import. Yes, United States will save this much from the export minus import. But what about the consumption, investment, and government expenditure? Who will invest in the United States? They are selling everything, right? Japan, China, all countries selling United States 10-year yields, right? They are selling all the fixed income of the United States, assets of the United States. So you can gain from the trade, but you can lose from your asset and financial surpluses. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep in mind that balance of payment is always in balance. What we mean by balance of payment? Balance of payment has three categories. Okay. One is current account. Second is financial account. Third is net error. Meaning that if a country like the United States giving a current account deficit, they will have financial account surplus. Everybody's money is in the United States, right? You are giving current account deficit, but everybody bring those money to the United States financial market. But now they will take their money from the Nasdaq or stock exchange, right? They will sell the fixed income of the United States. You will improve your current account deficit, but you will get worse from the financial surplus. And while manufacturing of the employment share is declining, its output share remains stable. Please look at this side. Germany losing the power in the manufacture of the world economy. Germany is here at the beginning of the 1990s. Approximately 1/3 of the world production coming from the Germany, right? But now they are just 1/5. For the United States, employment is decreasing, but output is almost stable. So they are saying that even we can lose the employment condition, we will still approximately affect the world economies around 12%. And we will gain the power from the Germany or the Japan, but we can lose this power to the Chinese economy. And these are the vector autoregressive shock. If we put a tariff, please look at this one. These are the months and the years, okay? And if I put a tariff effect on the output, what will be the effect? What on the output? GDP, okay? Output means GDP. If we put a tariff, GDP will go down gradually. If we put a tariff on the productivity on the United States, productivity will go down next couple of 5 months. Or unemployment, if we put a tariff, it will decrease gradually in just first month. Then it will start to increase. So output, GDP will go down with tariff. Productivity will go down. Unemployment will go up. Inequality in the economy will go up. It will increase the income distribution as well, right? It will negatively affect income distribution. It will, how can I say this? Equality and equity side, okay? You will lose your equality side from the rest of the world. And the real exchange rate, it will increase, meaning that your purchasing power will increase. And trade balances to GDP ratio, it will be go down first, then gradually stable around the zero. The first effect of the tariff is this. And let's focus on the consumption and investment side of the tariff effect. Real consumption gradually increase first month, then will go down stably after the tariff policy because prices will go up and consumption will go down. Real investment will go down, export will go down, and import will go down.